Measure A, the non-primary home tax. Should you vote for it? Both sides came out swinging today.
MTS minibus service will be disrupted through the weekend. I have more on when it might come back.
Meathead Movers is more than a moving company. They're moving with purpose and helping survivors of domestic violence.
Coronado's newest, most highly anticipated hotel opens today. I'll give you a tour. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Stephanie Simmons.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Right now, drivers for the company that runs paratransit and minibus services for MTS are on strike.
Yeah, that means riders who depend on the Access program to get around are either stranded or scrambling right now to find other options. Our Alex Cheney joins us live in Kearney Mesa with more on this, on what these drivers are demanding. Alex.
Yeah, union reps tell me that after months of stalled negotiations, it's come to this, a strike right in front of the MTS facility here in Kearney Mesa. All of these drivers are looking for better working conditions before going back to work.
I'm behind you. I stand up for you.
Rosemary Teeter usually takes the MTS Access bus from the Old Town Transit Center to work every other day of the week. But instead today, a coworker is picking her up. She says while it's frustrating, she stands with the striking drivers.
Because we all need to be happy where we work. Do what you have to do to get a better working place.
But not every rider shares her understanding.
And the drivers that are on strike playing their union game, I ain't got no use for them. You know what? All you're doing is taking away from other people that actually need your help.
In Kearney Mesa, Teamsters Local 542, the union that represents the minibus and access drivers, is striking against their employer Transdev for unfair labor practices, such as a long break during a shift where a driver might have to wait 15 hours to complete both their A and B shift. Salvador Abrica, the union rep, apologizes to riders for the gaps in service, but says it's necessary to stand up for themselves.
We also have to take the time and say, wait, we have to be respected and recognized for the work that we do.
MTS said in a statement, Transdev operates the minibus and access services on behalf of the MTS and is in contract negotiations with the union, as MTS does not directly employ them. And Transdev said in a statement, Transdev remains committed to reaching a fair and sustainable agreement with Teamsters Local 542, and efforts to bargain in good faith continue. And went on to say they have made several wage increase proposals since negotiations began, ranging from 16 to 21% over the next 3 years. Abrica says they already have a meeting set up with Transdev tomorrow and are hopeful to have an approved deal by Saturday. And Sal went on to tell me that if that deal is approved by Saturday, they'll be back to normal service out there on Monday. However, in the meantime, if you would like a full list of which routes are impacted by this disruption over the weekend, you can go to our website, cbs8.com, for a list and also some alternatives you can use in the meantime. Reporting live from Alex Cheney, back over to you.
Thanks, Alex. U.S. Border Patrol Chief Mike Banks is out.
CBS News is reporting that Banks told staff members today he's stepping down. Banks had previously served as the Texas border czar. He was appointed as the chief of U.S. Border Patrol back in January of 2025. Banks reportedly said it's time for him to return home to Texas to focus on his family and his ranch. But he didn't offer any more details on his departure. The move comes after a string of departures with top immigration officials in the Trump administration. In March, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino were both fired. And at the end of this month, Todd Lyons will step down as the acting head of ICE. Today, a top Democratic political aide in California pleaded guilty to a scheme to steal campaign funds from current gubernatorial candidate Javier Becerra.
Dana Williamson was a former top aide to both Becerra and Governor Gavin Newsom. Neither have been implicated in this scheme. Prosecutors say Williamson developed a plan with another longtime Becerra aide to take money from Becerra's dormant state campaign accounts. Becerra has not yet commented on this plea deal. Williamson faces up to 30 years in prison and a $1 million fine.
Today, Governor Newsom presented his updated state budget. His spending plan for the fiscal year 2026 to 2027 will be his final one as governor.
Newsom presented a positive fiscal outlook for the state. News 8 State Matters political reporter Jenny Ha has the full breakdown.
Big difference between Newsom's initial budget proposal from January and his updated proposal now is that new numbers show there's no budget deficit for the next 2 years.
I'm not just trying to get out of Dodge and enjoy 6 months of the next governor saying, well, I left you a balanced budget. This is a balanced budget structurally for the next 18 months after I'm gone.
A $350 billion budget proposed for California's upcoming fiscal year. But some positive news, Newsom says, amid years of budget deficits and criticism over state spending. No deficit for the next 2 years.
We got a detailed plan, and we're cutting deficits.
In his initial January proposal, the Newsom administration had projected a budget shortfall of about $2.9 billion next year and $22 billion the year after. So how is California in a budget surplus of about $4.5 billion next year and $2.1 billion the year after now? It's a mix of factors: higher than expected state income tax revenue, largely due to the AI boom and resulting success in the stock market, as well as additional revenue via additional taxes on corporations.
Some limited tax decreases for small businesses, but then tax increases on corporations, particularly tech companies.
But also more cuts to healthcare programs, especially on coverage for undocumented immigrants.
We're also looking to reduce costs, and this is where we get into the more challenging issues.
Additional proposals, which Newsom says were forced upon the state due to new eligibility requirements from the federal government, including raising Medi-Cal premiums for undocumented immigrants from the scheduled rise from $0 to $30 to $50 instead.
That's called reality. It's called math. It's a difficult thing, and we try to do it in a thoughtful way. It was originally $100. They went down to $30, I think $50 under the circumstances, but people going to disagree?
And transitioning certain undocumented immigrants to fee-for-service health care, which would save the state $1.5 billion in the coming years, but could make accessing certain care more difficult for people.
Well, fee-for-service is a direct result of the federal government.
Meantime, Republicans are once again criticizing the governor's fiscal outlook as concerning and irresponsible.
He really isn't doing anything about the structural debt, bringing spending down to a level below revenues.
Newsom also said his administration has been able to cut projected deficits in the future years by half. So for fiscal year 28 to 29, the deficit is expected to be about $10 billion, the same in 2029 to 2030. Jenny Hutt, News 8.
Right now, a local moving company is on a mission to help survivors of domestic violence escape for free.
News 8's Abby Black is live at Oceanside with more on where this mission got its start. Abby.
Carlo and Stephanie, sometimes leaving your abuser and having someone help you move so you can leave is the hardest part. Well, now a new North County moving company is working to change that, especially during a time when the Department of Justice says that violence among intimate partnerships increases in the summer. What started as a national moving company in 1997 became a mission a year later after the owner of Meathead Movers unknowingly helped a survivor escape her abuser.
The ex-boyfriend that she was trying to get away from was there on site and didn't want them taking things out of the house, was saying that, hey, you guys are taking my things, and then he ended up throwing a microwave at them.
That moment changed everything.
They just decided, hey, we're going to move her for free because this is a really sketchy situation.
And it catapulted a new mission, a move to end domestic violence.
Let's move survivors of domestic violence for free and give them a fresh start in life.
Meathead Movers opened its first location in San Diego County in Vista just a few months ago.
Every piece of furniture that we get into the truck, it kind of just eases their mind a little bit.
Operations manager Michael Ashmore says the work goes far beyond packing boxes.
She was super grateful when we got to the destination, started unloading. She was crying to us, and it was something that made us feel like superheroes for sure. Moving is one of the biggest hurdles for survivors. The Department of Justice found intimate partner violence spikes 12% in the summer. Meathead Movers partnered with the Oceanside WRC, a resource center for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault.
Moving causes a big barrier for some of our clients to leave their abusive situation. So by having this partnership, it allows us to break that barrier and ensure that our clients have the right empowerment so that they can make that move.
Their name may be Meathead, but their mission is anything but.
Moving with a purpose, I like that.
And those free moves are not just for WRC clients. Meathead Movers says that anyone leaving their abuser qualifies for a free move. To learn more, go to our website, CBS8.com. Stephanie?
So, Abby, is there a limit to how much they'll cover?
There is not a limit. I think that's what's important here. We were talking to them and they said, you know, some of these moves, a one bedroom can cost anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500. They even moved a woman that was a 4-bedroom house and that cost $8,000. So they're willing to do this for free to help these domestic violence survivors. And I think it's important here to know that if you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, there is help out there. You can call that national hotline 24 hours a day. That number is 1-800-799-7233.
And we know that getting people out in a timely way from a situation like that can be an absolute lifesaver. Abby Black reporting for us. Thanks, Abby.
Yes.
In California, the June primary election decides more than just the state's top contenders for governor.
In the city of San Diego, voters will also decide the fate of Measure A. That's a proposal that would tax vacant homes that are not primary residences. News 8's Kelly Hessedal has what both supporters and opponents of the measure are saying about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of mudslinging. One side is accusing the other of lying, but when it comes down to it, supporters say this measure will help San Diegans, while opponents say it's just going to create more problems.
There's 5,100 homes sitting empty for the majority of the year, owned by out-of-state investors, while folks are struggling to afford rent, while folks are never seeing themselves have an opportunity to buy a house, while people are sleeping on the streets. And this is a way to put homes back on the market.
It brings me no joy to go against all 8 of my colleagues on this, but I feel so strongly that this is the wrong path, that it will be struck down in court, that it is not well thought out, is not well vetted by attorneys.
And so both council members Sean-Elo Rivera and Raul Campillo with very different opinions on this. Now, Measure A taxes people who own homes that are left empty for more than 182 days a year. The tax starts out at $8,000 per empty home, increasing to $10,000 the next year with a $4,000 surcharge for corporations. Elo Rivera says not only will the tax incentivize some owners to sell their homes, which could help drive up inventory, it will also generate about $51 million a year for the general fund to pay for all sorts of things. However, Campillo says none of that matters because if passed, it's just going to end up in court, just like a similar measure in San Francisco did in 2024, and it was struck down.
I gave the city attorney's office an opportunity to write and research why they thought this would be a legal tax to impose, and they never got back to me with that.
Newsflash, rich people will use every tool at their disposal to avoid paying $1 more to society, to contribute to the betterment of the whole.
And there was a lot of talk today about military families. Will this measure affect them if they're serving overseas? Supporters say they are exempt. Now, if passed, this new tax would take effect in January of next year. Kelly Hessedal, News 8.
Thank you, Kelly. And you can stream more of our coverage of what's happening around San Diego on the CBS 8 app, now on your phone or TV for free. New climate data says this year's El Nino could be stronger than ever.
We're going to have more on that forecast and how it could impact Southern California coming up next.
Plus, the heartwarming story of one Aztec family celebrating a multi-generational graduation day.
We had some cloud cover out there, and that was in the morning hours, and then we saw the sunshine. Not talking about May gray conditions, but we're not out of the woods just yet, as the weekend is right around the corner and another area of low pressure is set to move in. We'll take a look at your complete forecast after the break.